Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we're featuring a team involving Driftlim, Golbat, as well as Greedent. What I really want to showcase is a Greedent because of how effective it can be when those body slams. The body slam spam is just really powerful. Unlike Weatherball, it was not nerfed, and it can still come up really quickly. Same amount of energy, but does more damage now. To introduce how you really use Greedent, he's basically like a Snorlax, but instead of using lick damage, you focus more on body slam damage for most of your opponents, and you have Crunch to take out those ghost types, those psychic types, to kind of finish it off. Now, as you notice, the first team we went against was a Frost lastly, which is actually really bad for Drift, so I switched on to Greedent as quickly as possible. My opponent then brings in a Polygraph, which actually isn't that bad, and you're going to see why. You're going to see how effective these body slams are when it really puts the pressure on this Polygraph. With body slams constantly coming, it has to really respond to it. On my side, the one thing he has to land a dynamic punch, but I'm not really super worried about it because of how tanky a Greedent actually is. After I farm down the Poliwrath, I now have plenty of energy to throw crunches at the upcoming Frostlash, which is exactly what happens over here. With my opponent this low, I know for a fact that he has to block the crunch or he's just going to lose this game. So I get off a body slam to bait it out, and I switch directly into my Drifting to just soak some damage, which is fine with me. At the end of the day, what's going to happen now is that the Frostus has no energy, so I'm going to do what I can to farm it down with my Golbat so that I have energy ready for whatever comes out in the end. If it's a Hypno, if it's anything else that can take out a Golbat, I have energy to respond to it quickly. The final Pokemon that comes out is actually a Volbeat, which is actually a really bad matchup in general to have late in the game like this. But that's okay. I'm going to first just spam out these Poison Fangs to lower the defense as much as possible. At some point, the Volbeat or the Manabuzz is going to go ahead and respond with a Foul Play, which I can't really do much about because I'm out of shields. At the moment, the main job for this Golbat is to put out as much chip damage as possible and lower defense as possible while making sure that the Manabuzz spends all its energy so that Green can come in, charge up a Body Slam, and finish it off right away. And just like that, we have game 1. In the second match, we're going to be matched up against a Nidoqueen, which is an extremely favorable matchup to start off with because I don't have to block anything from Nidoqueen and I have constant resist damage. He's going to respond with a Manabuzz right away, which is the perfect play on his side. It's a good safe swap, but I'm just going to go ahead and get up a Ice Wind, throw it, and then switch over to my Greedent once again. Greedent over here doesn't block anything from Manabuzz because it's just already taking debuff damage, and my side I'm just going to be charging as many body slams as possible. I'm never going to try to go below 2 body slams before I throw, and the reason is because I want to make sure that if he switches, I have plenty of energy for the next Pokemon coming out. Like, look at these foul plays, they're doing almost no damage to Green, just because he can really soak up damage over here. So I misplay right here. I actually throw a body slam way too early. What I should have done is that I should have actually thrown a few more bullet seeds to get more energy for the upcoming Obstagoon right here. Because I didn't though, I'm going to go ahead and just throw out a body slam right away as fast as possible, and then go ahead and let my Greedent die over the next couple of smacks. If I played that properly, I could have gotten out probably another body slam. After Greedent goes down, I'm going to bring out my Golbat. I actually have Golbat specifically to counter Obstagoon because it takes resisted damage from the counters, and I can go ahead and get those Poison Fangs and take it down over time. My opponent responds with bringing Nidoqueen back in, but at this point the game's over. I don't need to block Nidoqueen. I bring my Drifloon back out, and I go ahead and just bring an Icy Wind, followed by another Icy Wind, and keep an Icy Wind ready to go for the obstacle that comes out, so I can ensure the victory at the end of it. And just like that, my opponent surrenders for game 2. In game 3, I go against a Lapras, which is actually another really bad matchup. Those Ice Charges do way too much damage to my flying Pokemon. I try to safe swap into my Greedent, which is probably my best situation out here. I can charge up some Body Slams and go ahead and tank this first Surf that's going to come my way. He's going to then bring out a Wigglytuff and go ahead and try to charm me down. I'm just going to spam my Body Slams, get whatever damage I can, and then finish it off, probably with my Golbat. Those charges do so much damage. Luckily, I can respond with these Body Slams to kind of tame it down, bring it down a little bit. I'm even able to force out a block over here so that I can go ahead and push for more damage later on. With Greedent down, I bring out the Golbat to go ahead and try to wing attack it down. He gets out a Ice Beam, which isn't super great, but I have to block it or else this game is pretty much over. And out comes the Hypno, which is really bad for me. I try to bait out with a Poison Fang, which doesn't work out for me because he doesn't block it, unfortunately. I should have gone straight for the Shadow Ball. If I did, I'd probably be in a better position. I switch out into my Drifloon. He has enough energy to basically throw out a Shadow Ball, so I go ahead and block it, and it is a Shadow Ball. He finally brings his Lapras back out, which is really not good for me. I'm going to do what I can to put the pressure on by throwing Shadow Balls over here, but I'm about to make a mistake. I actually go for an Icy Wind instead of going for another Shadow Ball. Luckily for me, he missed the count, and he actually thinks that I'm throwing a Shadow Ball on him. He's going to respond with the Surf, which is going to take out my Drifloon. At this point, I don't really have a win condition. I'm going to do what I can to try to farm it down with wing attacks, but at this point it's too late. He's going to be able to go ahead and Surf over here and then Ice Charm me down, and I won't have enough energy to go ahead and throw Poison Fang here and then take out the Hypno afterward. And just like that, game 3 goes to my opponent. In game 4, my opponent brings out a Frostus, but I'm going to try to play it a little differently. I'm actually going to stay in and see what it's like to try to sneak out a move. If I know that if I can sneak out a move, I can get some extra pressure in there. Now what I'm trying to do here is that I'm trying to actually fake out a bait. I'm actually not going to bait on here. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. But I'm trying to make it look like I'm going to go for a bait. And just like that, I'm able to get that first Pokemon out of the way, putting me in a much better position. Now I'm not sure why I went straight for the Shadow Ball over here. In retrospect, at this point my opponent is probably more likely to block, knowing that he has 2 shields and he's already down a Pokemon. If I went for the Ice Wind straight away, it probably would be in a much better position. At this point, my opponent knows that I don't have enough energy for Shadow Ball, so he's not going to block this Icy Wind at all. So at this point, my opponent has a ton of energy on Empoleon, so I switch into my green to soak up damage, but he brings in Primate, so I respond with my Golbat and go ahead and finish up this game. At this point, there's very little my opponent can do. He throws out an Ice Punch, I don't block it because I really don't need to over here. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and pretty much let my Golbat die. Finally, you're going to see green come back. Right now, I have an okay amount of energy, but I can still take a ton of damage. Okay, he's going to throw his first Hydro Cannon. I'm going to respond with crunches. After 2 crunches, he's pretty much dead. And there we can finish out game 3 with a Bullet Seed. On to game 4. Now in game 4, we're going to have Drifloon have more of a neutral matchup. It's going to go against a Drapion Shadow. So at this point, I'm really worried about those crunches because those crunches will pretty much one-hit my Drapion. In exchange, I'm going to be rushing out my Ice Winds as fast as possible in hopes to just lower and neutralize the damage from it. He fakes me out with an Aqua Tail at first, which isn't great for me, but it's fine. It still would have taken a reasonable amount of damage. Either way, I'm going to block the first attack because I want to make sure I do my Icy Winds. With the first Icy Wind underway, I'm less afraid of the crunch, but at this point, he's not going to go for a crunch. He's actually doing another Aqua Tail, trying to bait me out, I guess. After Aqua Tail, he switches out over to Mana Buzz, which is an okay position for me to be in. I'm going to Icy Wind right away and then charge up for a second Icy Wind. In retrospect, that was probably a misplay, but I want to basically reduce the damage on my green coming out. So I'm going for another Icy Wind over here. Looks like I lose a CMP tie, but I think it's okay because she beats the foul play. But no, it ends up being a Shadow Ball, which instantly will kill my Drifloon over here. Out comes my Greedent, so I'm going to go ahead and just keep charging my Body Slams and get ready to swing back out to him. Unlike previously, I'm actually throwing out my Body Slam a little bit earlier, and the reason is because I know that this Mana Buzz is literally full in energy, so he really wants to block this. If he doesn't block this, he's literally going to lose and waste all the energy that he already obtained. I know on my side, I don't need to really block it because the Mana Buzz is Icy Wind and Green's very tanky. Even after this second foul play, it's still going to be pretty healthy, barely in the red, and able to charge more energy, only to throw out a Body Slam before it gets an air attack out, which is great. Back comes the Drapion. I know the Drapion has some energy, but not a lot still, not enough for a charge deck. So I get a Bullet Seed in, and then I throw out my charge deck because it'll still knock out that Drapion pretty easily. I go ahead and finish it off with a single wing attack, and then he responds with Nidoqueen. Now at this point, there aren't a lot of options that Nidoqueen has. I don't have to block Nidoqueen in any way because I'm resisting both Earth Power and Poison Fang. So I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball over here, but I'm pretty sure at this point my opponent knows that the writing is on the wall, and it's going to go ahead and surrender here by letting the Shadow Ball go. And there goes game 5. If you liked the video, go and press that like button and subscribe. I'll do what I can to post more videos soon.